Zirin had never known fear. His species, the Creel, were bred for war. Their bodies were armored with scales, their reflexes sharpened by centuries of conflict. Creel soldiers marched without hesitation into plasma fire, confident that victory was their destiny. Fear, to Zirin, was something lesser beings felt, something to exploit in enemies. That was before the humans arrived. The war on Aros Prime had dragged for months. The Creel, allied with the Galactic Council, faced raiding fleets from the Viekar Dominion. Zirin had been stationed as a tactical officer in the defensive trenches overlooking the shattered plains. Every day, plasma storms lit the sky. Every night, the ground shook with artillery. He thought he had seen it all. Then the humans deployed. At first glance, Zirin found them unimpressive. Soft-skinned, fragile-looking, without natural armor or claws. They were small compared to Creel warriors, and their weapons looked ancient. Projectile rifles instead of plasma lances, crude explosives instead of elegant disintegration grenades. Zirin thought they would crumble in hours. He was wrong. The Viekar offensive began at dawn. Their war beasts thundered across the plain, shield generators shimmering like suns. Plasma fire rained down, melting the first trench line. Zirin's squad held position, returning fire in disciplined volleys. Yet the enemy kept advancing, their armor absorbing blow after blow. "Hold the line!" Zirin roared, his voice booming through the comms. And then the humans moved. Instead of staying behind cover, they surged forward. Their commander, a woman named Captain Morgan, sprinted across no man's land as if the firestorm were nothing. Her soldiers followed, their rifles cracking with thunder. Zirin watched, stunned, as the Viekar shields faltered. The humans' weapons fired tiny pieces of metal, mere slugs. Yet those slugs tore through shield matrices, bypassing energy dispersion fields like they weren't even there. Viekar warriors screamed as their armor shattered. But it wasn't just the weapons. It was the way humans fought. They didn't advance like soldiers. They charged like predators. When plasma bolts scorched the ground, they laughed. When artillery shells exploded, they roared back with battle cries. They used the chaos like a weapon, weaving through fire and smoke as if born in it. Zirin had been taught that courage was the absence of fear. But the humans embraced it. They ran into death's jaws, and in doing so, they made death hesitate. Hours later, Zirin found himself in the ruins of a bunker beside 2 human marines. The enemy had pushed hard, and the Creel line was broken in places. Smoke and dust clogged the air. The sound of plasma fire echoed from every direction. "Out of ammo?" one marine asked Zirin, noticing his drained plasma rifle. Zirin grunted. "Spent. We wait for resupply." The marine tossed him something small, crude, metallic. "Then use this." It was a human sidearm, pistol firing projectiles. Zirin turned it over in his claws, baffled. "This? Against Viekar war beasts?" The marine smirked. "Pull the trigger. You'll see." Moments later, the enemy surged through the smoke. Massive Viekar shock troopers, twice Zirin's size, stormed the bunker. Zirin raised the pistol, doubtful. He fired. The shot cracked like thunder. The slug punched clean through the trooper's eye socket, dropping him instantly. Zirin blinked, stunned. The humans didn't wait. They leapt from cover, knives and rifles flashing. Zirin saw Captain Morgan take down a Viekar brute in close combat, stabbing again and again even as plasma scorched her armor. She should have retreated. Instead, she pressed forward with a snarl. For the first time in his life, Zirin felt his claws shake. Not from fear of the Viekar, but from the humans beside him. By nightfall, the Viekar retreated. The humans stood bloodied, bruised, but unbroken. Around the campfires, Creel soldiers whispered in disbelief. They had seen the humans fight, had witnessed their defiance in the face of overwhelming firepower. Zirin sat apart, staring at the pistol still clutched in his claw. Captain Morgan approached, removing her cracked helmet. Her face was smeared with soot and blood, yet her eyes burned with a fire Zirin could not comprehend. "You fought well," she said simply. Zirin rumbled low in his chest. You fight like creatures without fear. Morgan gave a humorless smile. We're terrified, Zirin, every time. But fear sharpens us. Fear reminds us what's at stake. That's why we run toward it. Her words struck deeper than any plasma bolt. The Creel had never understood fear. They had dismissed it as weakness. But the humans had weaponized it, turned it into fuel. That night, Zirin realized the truth. Courage wasn't the absence of fear. Courage was fighting with it, and making your enemy feel it more than you did. Years later, veterans would speak of Aros Prime as a turning point. The Creel learned respect for humanity that day. The Council learned caution. And the Viekar learned terror. But Zirin, more than anyone, carried the memory. Because he had fought beside humans. And he had finally learned what fear really was.